Grand Rising, everybody. Welcome, welcome to Rise Up Breathwork here at the People's Congregation of Shakers and Movers.
I'm going to grab one thing, so do the intro.
We are a high vibe tribe of plant-loving humans. I would like to welcome one of our members who made it to class today, Adrian. And I would like to take a minute to thank all of our monthly supporters. We've had a few new members sign up this week, and without your support, we could not bring you this programming, so I truly appreciate it. Everything that we are doing here really revolves around integration, connection, finding hope. Today I'm trying to find hope for my allergies. As you can hear, I am struggling. Spring is like a love and hate time of season. No, I love all seasons, but I have to say my sinuses kind of dislike this season. So hopefully the breath work actually helps with some of that today. I just wanted to talk about a couple of haps. For one thing, I wanted to thank Jessica for her offering beautiful, beautiful meditation that she led us on Friday night that really had a lot to do with connecting with those who have passed in our life and just taking a moment to honor their life and what their life meant to us. And then we went right into creating an art project. And Stanley, I just figured I would show off, whipped this up. So there was all sorts of mediums available, paint, magazines. Some people were making collages, some people were painting. This is the judge-free healing zone. So whatever you feel like doing is what you did. And then just wanted to talk a little bit about this week's program. So on Friday, we do have Anna leading a meditation and Reiki Yoga Nidra session, which is always a really relaxing, refreshing, healing night for us here at the chapel. And then on Saturday, for Soul Saturday, we have DJ Artie. Is that his name? Artie J? Oh, geez, I knew this a second ago. Artie V. Artie J, Artie V, sorry, buddy. I'm so excited to also let you know that Matt and I are going to be at the Maine Fungi Festival on Saturday up in Portland. Look out for the Bliss Bus. Matt is going to be bringing along some of his healing instruments, and it'll be a nice spot for you to just take 5. It's going to be a family-friendly event, so if you're interested in foraging, if you're interested in how mushrooms could potentially save the world, or at the very least clean up some of the mess that us humans have made, then I would highly recommend checking that out. And then, obviously go to pcsam.org and sign up for our newsletter, because that's going to be the #1 way that you're going to be able to stay on top of all the services and programs that we have coming at you this spring and summer. Yeah. So, Matt, how are you today?
I'm good.
Awesome.
So, you want to just dive into this?
I think we should. As you can tell, I'm a little top heavy, so I'm going to go rest my sinuses, and I'm going to let you take it away.
All right. Get nice and comfortable. Yeah, maybe dim the lights down a little bit. Yeah, there we go. I'll turn on one back light back here. So I'm just going to invite you to just drop in to this moment. Just move a little bit, kind of shake. Just do whatever your body's communicating to you for a moment. And just see if you can meet the needs of your body right now. So whatever it needs, if it needs a big breath, if it needs a little bit of movement, work out the kinks, anything that's maybe a little tight or stiff if you've been sitting this morning. And just allow for the body and for yourself to just drop into this moment. Let's just take a few cleansing breaths together to help drop in to the space within inside us, breathing in through the nose, out through the mouth. Breathing into the stomach. Sitting, laying down, doesn't matter. And just allow for this breath just to drop you into right now. Just be present with yourself in the space that you are in. And to drop just a little bit deeper, we'll just do a little bit of a breath hold. So let's breathe up into the crown and hold. And release and just let everything go on that exhale. And then just breathe any way that you need to. Whatever feels correct, whatever the body's telling you to do. Maybe take a moment, let the shoulders drop a little bit. Actually, let's change that. Let's breathe and relax for a moment. I'm just going to invite you to go ahead and go back to that. Inhale through the nose, out through the mouth. And for let's do 3 rounds. And on these 3 rounds, I'm just going to invite you on the inhale to scrunch the shoulders up into your ears. Kind of maybe tighten up the face, just lightly tighten up the whole body, bring some tension in. And then on the exhale, we'll make it a little bit extra long. And then on that exhale, we're just going to let everything melt. And then we'll do it a second time, bringing the air in, scrunching up, tightening everything up. And on the exhale, to just let everything go. So 1, 2, 3, let's breathe it in for 3 rounds. Nice long exhale. Really let everything sink and drop. And when you're complete, I just invite you to just sit in this energy for a moment. And just let yourself rest here for a moment. How does this feel right now? Are you present? Are you in this space with us right now with just being here? There's nothing else that is a part of you right now. The body is just feeling aligned. The breath is fluid. And for a moment, let's just use the name of the shop here. And we'll use the second word, the bliss. Right? Are you able to feel that a little bit? That blissful feeling, connected to self, connected to the higher self. dropping into feeling good. Sensations are alive within you. The awareness of this moment you're in tune with the moment of right now. And I think for me, as starting this type of work on myself, the bliss is really what's on the other side. It's really about obtaining this sensation, this blissfulness, this fluidity within the body, fluidity with our thoughts and our actions, and everything just seems right. And just breathe into that. Stay conscious of your breath. And just breathe in any manner. Bring in any type of breath that you've done in the past. And just play with the breath for a moment. And so, for much of this journey of personal development for myself, a common word for myself was, how am I going to grow? What am I going to grow into? But as I'm beginning to dive deeper in, I'm realizing at the same time it's actually not about growth. I'm not growing into anything. I already am what I'm supposed to be. I just don't know what it is. And what I'm discovering here is that it's really, for myself, about dismantling, unpacking, letting go of everything that I have taken on that really isn't the truth about who I am. So it's dismantling these energies that maybe have not served or have served a purpose protecting me from needs that were not met. And the other piece here is how has the world defined me up to this point? All the conditioning, the beliefs, things that may have happened in the first 7 years where I was reaching out and not having these needs met. And so as all of this starts to condition, how am I going to meet these needs, right? And so in comes how we protect ourselves if our needs are not being met by our parents or caregivers, teachers. So then we start developing a way to meet these needs. And these needs may be met through addiction. They may be met through anger. They may be met through high levels of frustration. And then with this pathway, through breath work, awareness, becoming an observer of what's going on around me, observer of my thoughts, and creating that space that we talk about pretty often. Creating space in between the thoughts or the emotions that arise within the mind or within the body. And creating that space to understand what is it that I'm feeling here. And most of the time we move right into the reaction. The anger boils up. I get really super frustrated and antsy. Maybe I reach out to a substance that isn't serving me, but it is in some manner holding me. And as we can, with the breath work, if you've ever come to one of the sessions for that, we fall into these energy patterns that we try and shift and change. And as we shift these energies, we start to come to an understanding of who we actually really are, that we have just simply forgotten about. We knew who we were coming into this world, but then it got lost. And so that's why I'm saying maybe it's really not about the growth or what am I growing into or what am I becoming. It's really about what's always been there and just finding it again. And releasing these parts of us, developing a relationship with these parts, and then discovering who we actually really are. And there's a lot that can come in with that. That's a whole nother discussion. So just breathe into that for a moment. I'm just going to lightly bring in just a conscious connected breath. So in a very gentle way. So we're just going to breathe in and out through the mouth. And just take a quick sip of air into the stomach with a longer exhale. Just a very gentle breath through the mouth, circular, no pausing. And just have your lips just a little bit open as we bring in the awareness and the consciousness of our breath. Just bring your awareness into the breath. And just see how the words landed that I just spoke. How does that land with you? And so for a moment, what I would invite you to do is to use this breath just for a moment and bring yourself back to that blissful state. And just sip it. So I know the other week we were talking about sipping and lightly starting to feel into different energies, but we were talking about energies that don't particularly serve us. So let's reverse that a little bit and sip into blissfulness, becoming bliss, becoming free. And just sip into it and just see how that feels for a moment. See if you can find that energy through the breath. And now just take a nice big breath in any way you need to and just let it all out. And just sit with this for a moment. Sit with this energy. And so a lot of the time we talk about, when something arises and to breathe into it and to see where it's coming alive for you within the body. Or just acknowledging it and trying to create that spaciousness between the event, the thing that just happened, and then our brain processes, and then we usually go into some type of emotional reaction. But when we acknowledge the thought, right, and we can create some space, we can take this blissfulness, if we just sip it little by little during the day and add this into our practice, we can find it more often and it becomes easier to find. And so what I'm going to invite you to do is to maybe, and we'll practice this in a moment, is to take this energy of bliss and to maybe meet it with the thing that just happened as well. So as we create that space, that awareness of, oh, I'm pissed, or whatever. And then as we maybe just take a breath, maybe to find that bliss and just meet the two energies and let them converge. So I'm going to invite you to drop back into that conscious connected breath for a moment. Through the mouth. Sipping the air in like a little gulp of air into the stomach. With the longer, a little bit more extended exhale. And creating this circular breath for a moment. And just let it be gentle. Let it be soft. Or just let it be what it needs to be for you. Allow for your body to communicate to you what you need with this breath. Maybe you need a little bit bigger gulp. Maybe you need a little bit longer exhale. But just see if you can tune in and receive what the body's telling you right now with this breath, in this moment. What does your body need right now? And let it speak to you. Don't try and force it, just let it come to you. And then just stay with this breath for a moment. Be in touch, in tune. Feel the flow of this breath. Allow for this flow to just awaken your entire being. Staying with this breath. And for a moment, I'm just going to invite you to invite in a moment, maybe say this within the last couple of days, that maybe threw you off, created some unbalance within our system, within our body, within the nervous system. And as you bring this moment in to play, I'm just going to invite you to breathe it in, acknowledge it, and create that space. And then tune into where it's activating in the body. Is it your heart, your gut, your neck tightening up, your jawline tightening up, eyes squinting? Maybe you need to move or shift. And then as you feel into this energy right now, on your next breath, can you bring in the bliss and meet that energy with this bliss? And just let it know it's okay. Through this bliss, we can discover ways to hold ourselves, to support ourselves, to acknowledge something arising that maybe I need to do a little bit more work with. Something to come back to. And then just let it all go. Just let it all go. And so, this is just like a little teaser here of how we may start to use these different energies to help us in moments that may not be serving us. And now just let the breath go and just fall into what you need. And this is just a very small piece into dismantling and discovering who we really are. And when we dismantle, it's like releasing ourselves from this emotional addiction that we all have. When these emotions arise of frustration, anger, the way we talk to people, communicate, maybe the way we judge, think. This is a chemical reaction that starts to occur in the body. So it's not only about being addicted to these emotions, but it's also this chemical reaction that's occurring within our body is a part of what we're addicted to, because this is our home, this is our comfort, this is what makes us feel good. But as we rise up and become aware, well, then we begin to understand that maybe we're not as comfortable in this as we thought we were. And so I invite you, as you move on with this week, is to see if you can discover for yourself how to start taking sips of bliss. And I just invite you to start bringing this into your day a little bit more, to help tap into this beauty. And from here, and this could be another podcast, but we can start to discover who we're really meant to be, what we came here to actually really do. And to be able to hold ourselves as we discover parts of us that need to be, where we need to maybe reestablish the connection with this. And this is leading into really into like inner child work here, which goes much deeper. But in inner child work, if you ever want to work on that, then a part of that is learning how to reparent ourselves. And so if you have children out there, how many times do you find that you are your mom or your dad, right? But we can create a new parent within us and parent ourselves to help hold that little child in us, support it, love it, be compassionate, and to maybe to even talk to it and begin to understand what needs need to be met here. And then from there, it can help to guide the process of how you're parenting your children today. The important thing here with taking sips of bliss, this can be really hard for us. It can be very uncomfortable. Sensations in the body, we're not used to this chemical release. So as you fall into this, you may discover that the other chemicals that are now being ignored are going to come back up and rise up. Because this is what home is. This is what we've known for however many years you've known it. And so we can slip back in to what we've always known. And then this will lead into like that self-sabotage so that you're not finding that bliss. So I'm just going to invite you one more time just to sip in with whatever breath works for you right now. Become conscious of your breath. And then just breathe into the bliss and how it feels when you're in alignment, when the nervous system is balanced, when we just enter a flow, the sensations of just feeling super high. Because when I fall into this, like, I don't really need anything. Like, I feel like I'm so ridiculously high, but I haven't put anything into my body. And I think what's important here to understand too is that we can pretty much really create everything from within us to feel good. And if we are choosing to use any plant medicine, this is why I also talk about setting intentions with the plant to help us. So just breathe into that for a moment. And if you are trying that 21-day challenge with the nose breath, this can even be a little piece of what we start to add in, like another challenge of beginning to sip the bliss, right? And to start developing a relationship with this sensation, this beautiful place that we can bring ourselves to. I'm just going to lightly invite you to slowly kind of bring yourself back into the space that you're sitting in. Reacquaint yourself with the ground that you sit or lay upon. in the space that you're in that is safe for you to be in, for your body, your emotions. To slowly begin to open your eyes and to reacquaint yourself with the space that you're in, to begin to wiggle and move. The wiggling and moving is so important here because it helps us to shift the energy, anything that you just went through just now, and it just kind of lets that energy kind of move around and shift and feel good. And then just to bring yourself back to where we are. And then I'm just going to open this up for my two friends here for a moment, just to, if there's anything that you would want to share about what we just kind of breathed into. And maybe what you may be taking away from it. Because I was kind of changing also, like, a lot of the times how we do think of, like, oh, I want to grow into this or become this. But I think we really are, or we know who we are. It's just a matter of refinding it and letting that come to the surface. You all right over there? Look like you're floating a little bit.
I am floating. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because a topic, I'm in a chat group with other people that are going to be going to the Psychedelic Science Conference, and I've never met any of these people. And one thing that one person wanted to do was like start a bingo with words that are either like kind of overused or almost like not played out, but like have almost become like cliche. And like growth was kind of one of those words that kind of came to me because it's like a lot of these practices I find what I thought the point was just discovering the art of being and like being in the moment and allowing the flow. And, you know, it's like kind of what you said. It's like the pressure to grow is really not what it's about, right? And so I found that kind of interesting that you brought that up today because it was one of the buzzwords kind of that came up with this, you know, whole business of healing or business of doing the work.
Right.
You know, and even that has become, you know, for some people. So again, and you know, it's also good to laugh at each other and to make fun of, you know, the clinical speak almost in a way, you know what I mean? Because we find ourselves doing it almost to the point of obnoxious because we're trying to be polite and we're trying to be politically correct. And, you know, there's a lot of pressure right now to say the right words and choose, you know, those words very wisely. And that's another really important part of the pause period is to make sure we are honoring that. But, you know, I think you're right. I think like, sure, we really grow up until the point where we stop growing, and then we're really just dying. if you want to really tell the truth, right? My children are actually physically still growing. Spiritually, of course, you can grow, you know, or you could just call it being curious. Or you could just call it learning to live in the moment or the flow, you know. So I like questioning these terms that we use a lot. And then bliss is another one. You know, when I think of the word bliss, you know, it sort of came from the Sanskrit word anandamide, which is actually the name of a cannabinoid that we endogenously produce in our bodies. And it makes me think of all the hidden meanings and things. And, you know, the bliss molecule is what we call anandamide. And that is what we strive to release naturally. And you touched upon that. When we fall in love, when we run, when we exercise, when we hold a baby or kiss someone we love, you know, we're producing endogenously these compounds that do produce bliss. So I think taking the pause and appreciating it is so important, and then channeling it when we're not having such a blissful moment. And the blissful moment that came to me was actually hilarious because I actually Googled something in my email to try to find an old email, and something actually came up, and it was from 2019, but I thought it was current. And I got that immediate feeling in my body that you described of just that anxiety, like, oh God, like I didn't mean to offend. And then I was like, oh, wait a minute. I already dealt with that. That was from 2019. And it was just that feeling of bliss of being like, shit, yeah.
Right.
Oh man, I'm so happy I don't have to deal with that. I already did. But yeah, it's funny how I jumped to a conclusion.
Right.
My body jumped to the conclusion of, and then I was like, oh wait, that was from 2018. So it was just, it's funny how our bodies react before our brains can even catch up sometimes too. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
This was a couple things that came to me.
Yeah. No, I love that, Shara. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I loved how you brought in just like, the sensation of running or kayaking or,
Hiking.
for me, climbing, but just anything that's, brings us joy. And it does bring about that bliss. So thank you for tying that piece in because that's important.
Yeah. Getting that body moving, doing the breath work, doing the yoga, all this stuff really is going to help your plant medicine work better. It's going to help it's going to help you if you don't do any sort of supplementing, and when we talk about plant medicine, I mean, I'm talking about functional mushrooms, I'm talking about kava, I'm talking about CBD, I'm talking about, things that don't necessarily get you the cliche high. And we wouldn't say have maybe a psychedelic effect, but they will still have a psychological effect, just like coffee.
And it's still a medicine.
Right.
And so it's just helping us. I mean, because we're all in different places and we need different things to help us sometimes.
Just support.
Because we can be in some really difficult places. Mm-hmm. And the plant medicine is so essential to staying away from the pharmaceutical aspect of things and using something that's natural that's going to aid us as we discover this newer self or this self that we were designed to be here to be.
Exactly.
To actually be.
Exactly. All these plants are here to help us. And we're so lucky here at the chapel. Every Wednesday, we do have an RN, our registered nurse, Jody. Yeah. She has an amazing personal story of overcoming, getting off about 13 or 14 different medications. She lost over 100 pounds. Wow. She actually realized a lot of the medications were causing some of the symptoms that then, of course, they were prescribing her more medication for. So, we really have a lot of folks just right here at 63 Washington Street that you can connect with, during the week, whether it is at one of our support groups, one of our programs, or just at our CBD store in the front. And I would like to shout out Irie Bliss Wellness for putting a roof over the head of the chapel and continuing to be our main sponsor. And so if you do want to come learn more about the endocannabinoid system, the entourage effect, the way that these different terpenes, flavonoids, and, cannabinoids all work in synergy, to really affect all 11 organ systems of your body, then come on down and chat with us. Because again, Absolutely. Jody is a wealth of knowledge. Everybody down here is just super passionate about the education and the information and making sure that people are armed with that information when they go and speak to their doctor, because we're not encouraging anybody to come off of pharmaceuticals or to drastically change anything, overnight, but we can kind of help be the liaison so you have the right language to speak to your doctor about these very safe compounds. Yeah,
and to become a little bit more educated on stuff that's not always really talked about.
Exactly. Yep. So we've got nurses in there educating the doctors. We've got patients in there educating the nurses. It's a big wheel of life that we're perpetuating over here. So
beautiful.
But thank you, Matt. This was great. I'm buzzing, like physically. My lips, I feel like I've been blowing in a tuba. I feel like my back was really sore before I got here. I was super, super stiff, like all the congestion, as you heard, physically loosened up today, which I had a feeling was going to happen. But I appreciate you, Matt. Thank you for this offering, and thank you for your support once again, everybody, so we can continue to bring it to you. And look for us up in Portland at the main Fungi Festival, and look for tickets online. Just use good old Google, and you will find that.